Can evil be cloaked in the garb of an ordinary life? Meet Blake Leibel, a wealthy Canadian heir, an aspiring artist, and a father of 3. From the outside looking in, Leibel's life was a picture of perfection. A mansion in Beverly Hills, a Tudor-inspired home where he resided with his pregnant wife and son. A circle of friends, all young, rich, and enamored with the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles. A passion for the arts, with projects in comics, movies, and films. In essence, Leibel was living what seemed to be an Instagram-worthy life. But as we delve deeper into this seemingly idyllic existence, the illusion of perfection begins to shatter. In the heart of Los Angeles, the city of dreams, a nightmare was brewing. Leibel stands accused of a crime so horrific, it's hard to reconcile the man who lived a glamorous life with the man who allegedly destroyed it all in a grotesque manner. The woman at the center of this chilling story is Iana Kassian, Leibel's girlfriend and the mother of his youngest child. She was found dead in their shared West Hollywood apartment, with the prosecution claiming she had been drained of her blood. Now, Leibel, once the prodigal son of 2 prominent Toronto families, is facing charges of murder, mayhem, and torture. If convicted, he could face the ultimate punishment, the death penalty. Those who knew Leibel are left grappling with the shock and disbelief, trying to comprehend how a man who seemingly had it all could take such a dark and twisted path. The disheveled man who appeared in court, pleading not guilty to all charges, seemed a far cry from the suave, charismatic figure he once portrayed. The question that hangs heavily in the air is, what went wrong? But beneath the veneer of a dream life lurked a nightmare. The seeds of our future are often sown in our past. With this in mind, let's delve into the early years of Blake Leibel, years that were marked by privilege and prosperity. Born into the affluent Forest Hill neighborhood of Toronto, Blake was an heir right from birth, destined to inherit the wealth of not one but 2 influential and occasionally controversial families. His parents' marriage was not without its share of complexities. They separated when Blake was young, though they never officially divorced. The family's dynamics were tricky, with Blake residing with his mother, Eleanor Leibel, while his elder brother Cody stayed with their father. Eleanor Leibel was no stranger to wealth. She brought substantial financial assets into her marriage with Lorne Leibel, Blake and Cody's father. Her father, Paul Chittel, had been a successful entrepreneur, founding a plastic sheeting company in the late 50s that evolved into a multi-million-dollar enterprise known today as Polytop Products Limited. In the business world, Paul Chittel was a formidable figure who, according to those who worked with him, was a controlling and unpredictable man. He was known for his dominating personality, making arbitrary decisions and striving to control every facet of his operation. His intimidating demeanor earned him the reputation of a bully, both among his employees and his suppliers. As we trace Blake's early life, it's evident that he grew up in the shadow of wealth and privilege. Yet, the complexities of his family dynamics, the separation of his parents, and his grandfather's aggressive business approach all formed part of the backdrop of his upbringing. These elements undoubtedly played a role in shaping the person he was to become. In the shadow of wealth and privilege, a young boy was growing, but toward what end? As we delve further into his story, we will attempt to unravel the mystery surrounding this question. Sometimes the journey from light to darkness is not a leap, but a series of small, unnoticed steps. The story of Blake Leibel is one that paints a stark picture of such a descent. Over the course of a single year, a man who had everything appeared to unravel at the seams, leaving those around him bewildered and ultimately horrified. Leibel seemed to have it all: a family, wealth, and a promising career. Yet, beneath the surface, a transformation was taking place. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly, as he walked out on his pregnant wife. This act, shocking as it was just the beginning of a series of abandonments. Leibel began to sever ties with his friends, withdrawing into a world of his own creation. To the outside world, it seemed like a man struggling with personal issues. Perhaps it was the pressure of his lofty aspirations in show business or the weight of the wealth he was born into. But whatever the reasons, Blake Leibel was changing, and the signs were there for those who looked closely enough. His behavior became increasingly erratic, his presence increasingly scarce. The once vibrant socialite was now an enigma, a ghost in his own life. The changes in Leibel were alarming, the isolation he imposed upon himself even more so. Yet for all the troubling signs, no one could predict just how dark his journey would become. The man who once lived a life that was the envy of many was now a shadow of his former self, a mystery that left those who knew him perplexed. His descent into an abyss was marked by a growing detachment from reality and a chilling disregard for the people who once mattered to him. It was a descent that was as baffling as it was alarming. As we delve deeper into Leibel's story, we see a portrait of a man who, on the surface, seemed to have it all. But beneath that surface was a darkness that was slowly consuming him, a darkness that would lead him to commit an act so heinous it was beyond comprehension. But no one could foresee the horror that was about to unfold. When the unthinkable happens, it leaves a scar on the soul of humanity. The dark underbelly of Blake Leibel's life came to light in a manner as macabre as the horror stories he aspired to create. The victim of this real-life horror was Iana Kassian, his girlfriend and the mother of his youngest child. The unimaginable crime with which Leibel is accused happened in the confines of their shared West Hollywood apartment. The chilling details of the crime are as gruesome as they are shocking. Los Angeles police believe that Leibel didn't just murder Kassian, he tortured and mutilated her. The nightmarish scene discovered by the authorities was a stark contrast to the glamour of the Hollywood life Leibel portrayed to the world. In an act that seemed to echo the darkest corners of his creative mind, it was said that Kassian had been drained of her blood. This horrifying detail paints a disturbing picture of the level of brutality involved in the crime. The extent of the violence was such that it seemed to leap straight from the pages of a horror novel. Leibel, an heir to two prominent Toronto families, didn't just face charges of murder. He was also accused of mayhem and torture. If convicted, he could face the death penalty. Yet the question on the minds of his friends, his artistic collaborators, and indeed the world was simple. What went wrong? How did a man who had all the trappings of a successful life descend into such darkness? Those who knew Leibel described a man who had changed dramatically over the past year. He had walked out on his pregnant wife, he had cut off his friends, and then, if police were to be believed, he committed an act not just wrong but evil, akin to the deeds of a comic book villain. In the courtroom, Leibel looked disheveled and vacant, a stark contrast to the wealthy, aspiring producer he once was. He ran a finger absently along a glass edge in front of him, seemingly detached from the horrific crimes of which he was accused. He pleaded not guilty to all charges, leaving the courtroom and the world in shock. A life brutally ended, a family shattered, and a community left in shock. The unthinkable crime Leibel is accused of has left a lasting impact, a scar on the soul of humanity that will take time to heal. As we delve further into the trial and its aftermath, we'll explore the repercussions of this horrifying crime and the questions it raises about the man at its center. In the face of evil, justice demands a reckoning. So it was that Blake Leibel, artist, heir, and now accused murderer, found himself standing before a court of law, charged with the gruesome murder of his girlfriend, Iana Kassian. His appearance was a far cry from the life of glamour he once led, as he stood in a padded vest, his hands cuffed, a thick chain around his waist. Leibel entered a plea of not guilty to the charges of murder, mayhem, and torture. If convicted, he could face the ultimate penalty, death. Yet despite the severity of the accusations, his demeanor was one of disconnection, almost as if he were detached from the gravity of the situation. His lawyer, after the hearing, suggested that Leibel might not be fit to stand trial. The shock of the crime reverberated beyond the courtroom, shaking the foundations of Leibel's social and familial circles. His friends and artistic collaborators struggled to reconcile the man they thought they knew with the horrific acts he was accused of. They wondered what could have gone so wrong. How could a man who seemingly had everything be driven to such monstrous deeds? Leibel's family too grappled with the shocking transformation of their kin. His brother, his wife, they were absent from the courtroom, perhaps unable to face the chilling reality of the allegations. The question hung heavy in the air. How could this happen? The wider community was left in a state of disbelief and horror. The gruesome details of Kassian's murder, the fact that she was found drained of her blood, sent chills through the hearts of those who heard the tale. It was a stark reminder that even amongst the glittering facades of wealth and glamour, darkness can lurk. As the trial proceeded, it was clear that this was more than just the prosecution of a single man. It was a reckoning for a society that too often overlooks the darkness beneath the surface, that fails to see the warning signs until it is too late. It was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that evil can wear many masks, even that of a wealthy aspiring artist. The aftermath of the trial left a deep scar on the psyche of those who knew Leibel, and indeed, the wider community. The crime, the trial, the shocking revelations, they served as a chilling reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink, of the evil that can lurk beneath a veneer of wealth and success. As the gavel falls, we are left to ponder the question, how could this happen? In the end, the trial of Blake Leibel serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can hide beneath the surface, awaiting the chance to emerge. This is a tale of horror, not just because of its gruesome details, but because of the stark reminder it offers, that evil can dwell anywhere, even in the hearts of those we think we know. In the aftermath of horror, we seek to understand. As we reflect on the chilling narrative of Blake Leibel, we are confronted with the haunting question of the nature of evil. It's a query as old as humanity itself, and yet it seems to gain fresh potency with every new instance of unthinkable violence that seizes our collective consciousness. Leibel, an affluent individual with a seemingly enviable life, morphed into a figure of terrifying cruelty. This transformation forces us to question what lies beneath the surface of those we would least suspect. Our understanding of evil has often been shaped by a binary perspective. We have a tendency to separate the world into good and evil, light and darkness, heroes and villains. But the story of Blake Leibel reminds us that evil is not always an external force lurking in the shadows. Sometimes it resides within the individuals we see every day, hidden beneath the veneer of normalcy. This is a terrifying reality, but acknowledging it is the first step towards prevention. The capacity for violence within seemingly normal individuals is a complex and unsettling concept. It challenges our understanding of human nature and forces us to confront the uncomfortable fact that the potential for harm exists within all of us. This is not to say that we are all capable of the atrocities committed by Blake Leibel, but rather it serves as a reminder that the seeds of violence can germinate under the right conditions. This understanding underscores the importance of vigilance and compassion in our interactions with others. We must strive to recognize the signs of distress and potential harm and take the necessary steps to intervene before it's too late. It's a task that requires empathy, understanding, and a willingness to act. But more than that, we need to foster a society that prioritizes mental health, that creates safe spaces for individuals to express their struggles and seek help. We need to break the stigma surrounding mental health issues and ensure that individuals like Blake Leibel are identified and provided with the support they need before they become a danger to themselves and others. The story of Blake Leibel is a stark reminder of the horrific violence that can result from unchecked mental health issues, societal neglect, and personal disarray. It's a narrative that should inspire not just fear, but a commitment to understanding, vigilance, and preventative action. In the end, we are left with a chilling reminder. Not all monsters lurk in the shadows. Some hide in plain sight, in plain,